Have you ever noticed that some people have something different? They walk into a room and everyone can feel it. It's not beauty, it's not money, it's not fame, it's energy. It's that kind of person you meet once, and just it doesn't leave your head. Today, you will find out how to be that person, and the best part, without having to pretend, without masks, without trying to impress. What you're going to learn in the next few minutes has the power to completely change the way the world reacts to you. Alan Watts said that true strength comes when you stop chasing and start attracting naturally. And that's exactly what this video will show you. How to awaken a silent power within you that makes people remember your face, your voice, and even your presence, even when you're not around. Maybe you felt like you're always doing your best but no one notices, or that no matter how hard you try to be interesting, it seems like the world ignores you. Well, today, that changes. You'll understand what makes certain people unforgettable and how this energy can transform not only your relationships, but also your financial, emotional, and spiritual life. Get ready, because what follows will blow your mind. When you apply what you hear here, you'll realize you don't need to chase anything or anyone. Everything starts coming to you, and when that happens, no one will be able to stop thinking about you. Now you understand the power that was in your hands all along. This content opened your mind to something most people will never discover: how to become someone impossible to forget. Starting today, everything changes: your energy, your presence, the way people see you. And since this video made you see what no one told you, it shows that you're ready to go further. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content that will help you grow, attract prosperity, and master your own power. This is just the beginning of your transformation. You know when you walk into a place and you feel like there's something different about some people. They don't have to be loud, they don't have to be the prettiest or the richest, but everyone can sense something about them. It's as if they carry an invisible force, a presence that captures attention and arouses curiosity. And the most impressive thing is that this energy doesn't come from outside. It's born from within. It's the kind of power you can unleash too, but no one has taught you how. That's what we're going to talk about. Now, how the invisible force of presence can change everything in your life. The truth is, most people go unnoticed because they live disconnected from the moment. They're physically present, but mentally trapped in thoughts, worries, and memories. And when someone lives like this, the body is there, but the soul is far away. Have you ever noticed how different it is to talk to someone who truly listens to you, who looks you in the eye attentively and makes you feel seen? That's the difference between someone who merely exists and someone who truly is. President Alan Watts said that living in the now is the first step to touching infinity, and he was right. When you learn to be fully present in every second, your energy changes, and the people around you feel it, even without understanding why. Being present is what creates connection. It's what makes someone remember you after a simple conversation, a quick smile, or even a shared silence. It's the kind of thing that can't be faked, fabricated, or rehearsed. And you know what's even more interesting? When you stop trying to be interesting and start just being truly where you are, you become unforgettable. It's almost magical. People sense your authenticity and are drawn to it because it's rare. In a world full of distractions, being someone who lives in the moment is like being a light in the darkness. And that's when everything starts to change. When you learn to control your presence, you change the energy field around you. Your body, your posture, your gaze, and even your tone of voice begin to convey security and calm. You become someone others want to be around, not because you're trying to get attention, but because you convey something everyone seeks: peace, clarity, balance. People can tell when they're in the presence of someone who lives with purpose. They feel there's something different, something real. And that's the secret to natural attraction. You don't have to chase, you attract. Think about how many times you've worried about pleasing others, making a good impression, being accepted, and in the end you ended up feeling exhausted, like you were constantly acting. This happens because trying to be someone you're not saps your energy. When you come back to yourself, when you decide to truly be yourself in what you do, everything changes. You no longer have to strive to be noticed. The world starts to notice you automatically. It's the power of authenticity combined with presence. It's the point where everything starts to align. Now you might be thinking, but how do I awaken this presence? How do I activate this power within myself? And this is where something few people understand comes in. True presence isn't faked, it's realized. Feel it arises when you stop living on autopilot and start observing what's happening inside and outside of you. It's when you slow down, take a deep breath, and decide to be there, completely. It could be in a cafe, talking to someone, working, or even in silence in your room. When you're whole, the universe responds, people notice, results appear, and everything starts to flow differently. What's most impressive is how this simple habit changes everything. Your relationships, your confidence, your way of speaking, and even the way money comes to you. Because yes, when you're present, you act more consciously, make better decisions, and attract opportunities that previously went unnoticed. Prosperity isn't luck, it's perception. And those who are present notice what the distracted miss. Alan Watts talked about this a lot. The secret to abundance isn't in chasing it, but in being open to receive what life is already trying to give you. At this point, I want to ask you an important question. Do you consider yourself a truly present person? Or do you feel like you're always thinking about what's next, caught up in worries that haven't even happened yet? Comment here. Presence, because it will help you commit to this transformation. When you write, you reinforce the decision within yourself. And this is the first step to awakening this energy that will make it impossible for anyone to get you out of their head. But the most incredible thing of all is yet to come. Because understanding presence is only the beginning. There's another, even more powerful element that multiplies the effect of this energy and transforms you into someone who radiates confidence, lightness, and natural magnetism. Something that makes people not only think of you, but also miss being around your energy. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to be remembered, the more the world seems to forget you? It's strange, but it's true. Most people are constantly seeking attention, trying to be noticed, constantly trying to prove their worth. And the result is always the same: fatigue, frustration, and a constant feeling of emptiness. It's like chasing a wind that never catches. And that's precisely why the secret is in detachment. When you truly understand this, the way people see you changes completely, because it's at that point, when you stop needing, that you become impossible to ignore. Alan Watts said that everything you try to hold on to ends up slipping through your fingers, and that's exactly how it is with love, success, and even prosperity. When you desire too much, you convey scarcity, but when you trust, when you let go, when you do your best and simply let the universe act, something changes. You begin to vibrate with lightness. And it's this lightness that attracts. People feel good around those who live in peace. They realize you don't need to prove anything. And that's what most arouses curiosity and admiration, the fact that you are whole, even without needing anything. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you does not depend. It's the difference between loving and clinging. When you love, you flow, you allow, you understand the timing of things. When you cling, you suffocate, you try to control, you create expectations, and everything that is forced dies. True magnetism is born when you give your best and accept what comes back. It's a natural balance between action and surrender. It's the trust that what's yours doesn't need to be pushed away, because it will find its way back. Now think, how many times have you exhausted yourself trying to make someone value you, understand you, or choose you? How many times have you blamed yourself for something beyond your control? And in the end, did you realize that the more you persisted, the further you moved away from what you wanted? This happens because the energy of attachment carries fear, fear of loss, fear of not being enough. And when fear guides your actions, the result is resistance. Things stop flowing. But when you let go, the fear disappears, and in its place, confidence is born. It is in this confidence that true power resides. Detachment is a form of mature love because it shows that you understand that everything has its time. It's the ability to do your best and rest, knowing that the result will come in its own time. And this behavior changes everything. In relationships, at work, with money, in everything. People sense it when you live this way. They realize you're free. And freedom is what everyone seeks. When someone feels like you don't need them to be happy, they feel even more attracted to your presence. Because human beings are naturally curious about what is rare, and nowadays, light people are rare. When you understand this, the game changes. You start to act naturally. You stop begging for attention and begin to emanate tranquility. And this energy is reflected in everything, in the way you speak, walk, look, and even smile. It's as if an inner peace takes over, and this peace makes you magnetic. This is what Alan Watts taught between the lines, that detachment is the path to freedom, and freedom is what most enchants others. When you free yourself from the fear of loss, you become someone impossible to replace. And the most beautiful thing is that detachment doesn't distance you from good things. It brings them closer, because the universe understands the language of trust. It returns to you everything you release with a peaceful heart. When you hold on too much, you block the flow. When you let go, you make room for new things to enter. This is how prosperity comes. This is how love arrives. This is how opportunities find you. Therefore, the more you learn to let go, the more life gives you back what is yours. Now tell me something. Do you feel like you have trouble letting go of control, trusting that things will work out without having to force them? Write the word in the comments trust, because it will help you internalize this new state of energy. Every time you write this, you'll remember that power isn't in chasing, but in knowing how to wait. And there's something even more powerful that happens when you learn to live this way, because detachment isn't the end of the journey, it's the gateway. There's a silent, almost imperceptible attitude that allows all this energy to multiply and transform you into someone who attracts effortlessly, charms without speaking, and conquers without trying. Do you know what else prevents you from being remembered? The desire to appear interesting. That's right. Many people think they need to constantly prove they're smart, beautiful, successful, special, but the effect is the opposite. The more you try to appear certain, the more people feel forced, and nothing turns people off more than someone who's constantly trying. The truth is simple. Whoever tries to impress loses their naturalness, and those who are natural achieve effortlessly. Alan Watts said that life is like a river. The more you try to control the flow, the more you drown. When you relax and flow, everything starts to fall into place. Think of someone who truly left a mark on you. I bet they didn't have to show off or make an effort. They just were themselves. Maybe they captivated you with their easygoing manner, the calmness in their gaze, or even the comfortable silence you shared. This happens because humans are naturally drawn to authenticity. The problem is that most people live playing a role. They want to appear perfect, hide flaws, and appear confident when they're full of doubts. And this creates a huge energetic barrier. People sense when what you portray doesn't match your vibration. When you understand this and start being your true self, with your flaws, your doubts, and your imperfections, something magical happens. You become a real person in a world full of copies, and that's what attracts attention, because everyone is tired of people trying to be someone else. People want to feel something real, and realness only exists when you let go of the need to prove it. Being authentic is liberating. It's when you realize you no longer need to act, compete, or please. It's when you start living and stop performing. What post captures the attention of others is not your speech, it is your energy. When you're at peace with who you are, your body relaxes, your voice changes, your gaze conveys truth, and people sense it. It's a vibration that naturally attracts. The funny thing is, when you stop trying to impress, you finally do, because you begin to convey something that can't be faked, tranquility. You become the kind of person who walks into a room and changes the atmosphere, not because you make noise, but because the energy is different. And this applies to everything: relationships, friendships, business. When you're whole and confident in who you are, you become a magnet. People want to get closer, listen, learn, be around, and the more authentic you are, the more opportunities appear. Because the universe responds to authenticity, not appearance. You can fool someone for a while, but energy doesn't lie. When you're aligned with yourself, what's yours comes to you. Now, this doesn't mean you should be relaxed or sloppy. Being authentic isn't about letting life take me. It's about being aware of what you convey, but without forcing yourself. It's about acting with presence and purpose, but with ease. It's about doing your best without worrying about the outcome. When you do this, you inspire trust, and trust is irresistible. People remember those who make them feel safe, calm, and at peace. That's why some people stay in our minds even after they're gone. They made us feel something genuine. So stop trying to be interesting. Be whole. Stop trying to show your worth. Live your worth. Because when you live authentically, people don't just notice you. They miss you. They remember your personality, your energy, and they can't get you out of their heads. That's real power. That's what makes you unforgettable. Now tell me something, do you feel like you sometimes try too hard to be accepted or valued? Write the word here in the comments authenticity to affirm to yourself that from today on you choose to be who you are without masks. This will remind you of the commitment you are making to your own truth, and it is precisely when you begin to live authentically that a new power awakens, a kind of silent, invisible force that speaks louder than any words and makes people admire you without even understanding why. Have you ever noticed that there are people who don't even need to talk much to be noticed? Sometimes they walk into a room, stand quietly, observe, and yet seem to dominate everything around them. They don't compete for attention, they don't need to prove anything, and yet everyone feels their presence. That's the power of silence that speaks louder. It's a strength that comes from inner tranquility, from the security of someone who doesn't need to be heard to be respected. Alan Watts said that silence is the music of the universe, and those who learn to listen to it understand things that noise never can. The problem is that most people fear silence. They feel uncomfortable when it appears, as if emptiness was something wrong. But silence is precisely where you reconnect with what's real. When you silence the noise of your mind, the world makes sense again. It's there that you listen to your intuition, notice details others ignore, and begin to see people as they truly are. That's why those who are calm and present stand out, because they convey stability in a world where everyone is rushing, talking, and trying to prove something. Think of someone you admire and who inspires confidence. I bet this person doesn't speak louder. They speak less, but each word carries weight. This is because silence is the cradle of wisdom. When you don't react impulsively, you act with clarity. And this clarity is magnetic. People feel safe around someone who doesn't have to constantly explain themselves. Silence shows control, shows maturity. It shows that you're in control of your emotions rather than being dominated by them. Alan Watts taught that emptiness isn't absence, it's space. It's in this space that the new enters. When you talk too much, when you constantly justify yourself, you close the space. When you keep quiet, you create curiosity. People start to observe you more, wanting to understand what's going on in your mind. It's the power of mystery, not because you're hiding something, but because you've learned not to waste your energy trying to convince anyone. True power lies in those who don't need to prove anything. And the curious thing is that silence is also a form of protection. When you learn to remain silent when faced with someone trying to provoke you, you demonstrate a strength that others lack. Those who try to destabilize you want to steal your energy. But when you respond calmly, you diffuse any attempt. This is self-control. And this attitude earns respect because it shows that you are in control. No one can manipulate someone who doesn't react impulsively. Silence is powerful even in relationships. When you talk less and observe more, you realize who's truly on your side and who just wants to drain your energy. You begin to see hidden intentions and repetitive behaviors and learn to act with wisdom instead of emotion. This completely changes the way you interact with people. What's more, silence teaches you to value the present moment, because it puts you in direct contact with what's happening now, not what you imagine. The beautiful thing is that when you learn to feel comfortable in silence, the whole world changes its rhythm. You stop feeling anxious, start sleeping better, attract calmer people, and make better decisions. It's as if you create an energy field around you that transmits peace, and peace is one of the most attractive things there is. People feel good around those who live in balance because their subconscious recognizes something they themselves seek. Now tell me something. Do you often feel uncomfortable when the room is silent? Or have you learned to use silence to your advantage? Write the word here in the comments calm to affirm that from today on, you choose the power of silence over noise. This simple gesture will remind you that the less you try to be heard, the more people will listen to you. And there's an even deeper reason why silence transforms everything around you, something that goes far beyond speaking less or controlling emotions, because there's an even more subtle force that arises when you live truthfully, and it's this force that makes people not only think of you, but desire to be near your energy in an almost inexplicable way. You know that kind of person you look at and think, there's something different about them. It's not their appearance, nor their way of speaking. It's something deeper, almost impossible to explain. That's the power of mystery, of authenticity. It's when your energy reflects exactly who you are inside. And this kind of truth has enormous power, because the world is starved for real people. Alan Watts said that humankind's greatest illusion is trying to be something other than what they really are. And it's precisely this quest to be someone better that makes so many people lose their former brilliance. The curious thing is that the more you try to be perfect, the further you distance yourself from what truly makes you interesting. Perfection is cold, predictable, and dull. What draws attention is the truth. It's the sincere way of being, of expressing yourself, of showing vulnerability without shame. It's that look that carries a story, that smile that shows you've been through pain but still stand tall. People sense when there's truth, and that's what captivates them. Because deep down, everyone is tired of appearances, filters, and personas. The whole world wants to connect with what is human, and what is human is imperfect. Being authentic means having courage. It's looking at yourself and accepting what exists, without masks, without disguises, without needing to please anyone. It's understanding that those who are truly authentic aren't afraid of not being liked, and this kind of energy is magnetic because it awakens something in people, the desire to be themselves. When someone feels they can be who they are around you, they truly connect, and this is one of the greatest forms of influence there is. But there's one detail that almost no one realizes. Being authentic isn't about revealing everything about yourself or living impulsively. It's about living coherently. It's when what you say matches what you do. It's when what you show is what you truly feel. This coherence builds respect, because people trust someone who is consistent. And when you become someone predictably genuine, you become a role model. That's where the mystery arises. People try to understand what moves you, but they can't put it into words. They simply sense something different and want to be close to it. And it's funny how the world reacts when you start living this way. Some people will back away because they can't stand seeing someone free to be who they are. Others will come closer because your light will attract those who vibrate on the same frequency. Authenticity has this power. It clears the path. It removes what is false and strengthens what is real. And the result is peace, because you stop fighting for acceptance and start living in harmony with what is true. And when you are at peace with yourself, the whole world feels it. This peace is reflected in your voice, your gaze, your posture. You begin to walk lightly, speak less, and convey more. And the most incredible thing is that the more authentic you are, the more things start to work out, because you stop wasting energy trying to be something you're not, and start using that energy to create, to grow, to live with purpose. Authenticity attracts prosperity because the universe responds to truth. Everything that is real aligns with the flow of life. Now, let me ask you something. Do you feel like you're living your truth? Or are you still wearing a social mask to fit in with others? Write your words in the comments below. True, to affirm your commitment to authenticity. When you write, you commit to yourself that you will stop living to please and start living to evolve. And it's precisely when you begin to be who you truly are that an even more profound shift occurs. Because authenticity isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of a much greater transformation. There's a state of acceptance and surrender that amplifies this power and allows your presence to not only leave its mark, but completely transform the energy of everyone you cross paths with. When you get to the point where you don't need to control anything, everything starts to fall into place. That's when you discover the power of acceptance and surrender. This is the stage where the struggle ends and peace begins. Alan Watts talked about this a lot. Life flows like a river, and the more you try to swim against the current, the more tired you become. But when you learn to let go and trust, the current itself takes you exactly where you need to be. And the amazing thing is that this doesn't weaken you, it makes you stronger than ever. Acceptance is the turning point. It's when you understand that you don't need everything to go your way for things to work out. It's when you realize that life has a rhythm and that your timing isn't always the right timing for things. The problem is that most people live in resistance. They want to control how they feel, what others think, what the future will bring. And this control creates tension, anxiety, fear. But when you accept what was, what is, and what hasn't yet happened, the weight lifts. You feel lightness, and this lightness is magnetic. People sense the difference. You begin to exude confidence, serenity, and everyone wants to be around that. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It's recognizing what's happening and choosing to act wisely instead of desperately. It's understanding that not everything needs to be pushed to work. When you surrender, you open space for the universe to act. And it's precisely at that moment that things start to move in your favor. How many times has something that seemed to go wrong ended up leading you to a much better path? Indeed, this is life showing that control is an illusion. When you learn to trust, everything starts to flow. Surrender is the sister of acceptance. It's the act of putting faith into action. It's not about sitting back and waiting, but about acting with confidence, knowing that the outcome doesn't depend solely on you. It's about doing your part with a calm heart, without fear, without rushing. And this attitude completely changes your vibration, because while everyone else is anxious, desperate to see results, you are serene, and this serenity empowers you. People notice. They see that you have something they lack: inner peace. Alan Watts said that those who try to control the future lose the present, and it is in the present that all power lies. When you live in the now, with acceptance and surrender, you become in tune with the flow of life. Opportunities begin to appear, relationships harmonize, and even money begins to flow more naturally. Because you are no longer blocked by fear or doubt. You are open, and whatever is open receives. And you know what's most beautiful? When you learn to accept, you stop comparing yourself. You stop fighting with time, with the past, with people. You begin to understand that everything happened to teach you something. And this understanding brings a deep peace, one that doesn't depend on anything external. It's a kind of silent power that doesn't need to be shown. You just live, and those around you sense that there's something different about you. It's the energy of someone who trusts. Now you understand what makes someone impossible to forget. This video opened your eyes to a power that's always been within you. The power to attract naturally without having to chase, prove anything, or strive to be noticed. And if anything here touched you, it's because this content has already begun to shift your energy. And when you shift your energy, the world begins to respond differently. Then do the following: leave your like and subscribe to the channel to continue evolving with me. This way, you keep this cycle of transformation active and also help others to awaken as well. Write the word here in the comments energy to affirm that from today on, you will live with more presence, lightness, and confidence. And get ready, because what comes next will take you even deeper into this process. In the next video, you'll learn how to use this same inner strength to create a reality where everything, relationships, prosperity, and peace starts to work in your favor. Something big is about to happen, and you'll want to be here to experience it firsthand.